From the Caribbean News Desk, the Morning Edition. Good morning, I'm Denis Chabrol.
And I'm Kendol Morgan with the latest from across the Caribbean.
43% of people in the Caribbean are struggling to meet basic food needs. That's the finding of the 7th Caribbean Food Security and Livelihoods Survey, which was launched yesterday by the World Food Programme in association with the Caribbean Community, CARICOM. Director of Sectoral Programs at the CARICOM Secretariat, David Prendergast, says small island developing states are facing the brunt of food insecurity.
The situation is exacerbated in the small island developing states, where 96% of the respondents report rising food costs, attributed to heavy reliance on imports, geographic isolation, and small economies.
5 Americans held by the authorities in the Turks and Caicos Islands on possession of ammunition offenses will have to go through the court process after a visiting U.S. congressional delegation failed to secure their release. The Turks and Caicos team, led by the governor and the premier, said it confirmed to the U.S. delegation the constitutional separation of the executive and judicial branches and that they could not interfere or comment on ongoing legal cases before the court. They also indicated that in order to maintain the integrity of the legal process, it would not be appropriate to facilitate the U.S. delegation's request to meet with the Chief Justice. The 5 Americans were arrested in recent weeks after ammunition was found in their bags during security screenings. They could each face a minimum of 12 years in prison if convicted.
A Taiwanese man arrested in New York for operating a global illegal narcotics network online did his alternative military service as an aid worker in diplomatic ally St. Lucia. Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs says 23-year-old Lil Ruyi Siang was detained at John F. Kennedy International Airport last Saturday. At the time, he was transiting from St. Lucia on a flight to Singapore. Taiwan's Foreign Ministry says Lil had been sent to St. Lucia last November as part of a development aid team. He was supposed to complete his alternative military service in July.
Barbados is this week hosting the first Global Supply Forum as part of the search for solutions to the challenges affecting the availability and cost of global goods and services. The forum, being held jointly with the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, is tackling issues such as transportation costs and logistics, food security, and climate change adaptation and mitigation. Prime Minister Mia Mottley told Tuesday's opening the issues disproportionately affect developing countries, including those in the Caribbean.
I therefore want to thank you on behalf of the people, not just of Barbados, not just of the Caribbean community, but of all small island developing states, to return here and focus on this matter of global supply chain disruptions and the impact that it is having on the cost of cargo, transportation, and overall cost of living for our people, particularly the most vulnerable of our people.
With less than a week to go, Antigua and Barbuda says it is ready to host the international community for the 4th Conference of Small Island Developing States, SIDS. The SIDS conferences have been held every decade since the first in Barbados in 1994, with the second and third taking place in Mauritius and Samoa. Antigua and Barbuda wants to move away from the low implementation rates of the earlier conferences and make SIDS 4 an event with an action plan for small island states. Antigua's UN Ambassador Aubrey Webster is part of the organizing team.
This is a conference that is focused at implementable strategies. So the 10-year strategy that would lead, which we call Antigua Barbuda Agenda for Small Island Developing States, this agenda has landmarks that are measurable and that we can use to see progress. And if we run into trouble, we have the process within that document to beat back, to show our resilience, because the objective is to make the islands more prosperous.
Elsewhere, Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced a minor cabinet reshuffle, which took effect yesterday. There are new faces in the information and works portfolios, and a new parliamentary secretary has been added to the office of the Prime Minister.
The French Caribbean island of Martinique is the latest territory in the region to be rationing water due to the worst drought in its history.
Denmark is preparing to pass legislation to remove the Bahamas, Belize, Seychelles, and the Turks and Caicos Islands from the list of non-cooperative jurisdictions for tax purposes, in keeping with a decision by the European Union Council last February.
This has been the morning edition from the Caribbean News Desk. You may contact us by phone or WhatsApp on +592 700 9293. Thanks for listening.